Hello again, everybody. Video here for you today. Beyond Oak Island is a show in which the History Channel and Rick and Marty Lagina get involved with other treasure mysteries. If you missed any of my recaps for The Curse of Oak Island or Beyond Oak Island, there's a link to the playlist in the upper right. This is a no-cap recap of the Season 2, Episode 4 from January 25th, 2022, called The 1715 Treasure Fleet Part 2. Part 1 was the Season 2 premiere episode, and the no-cap recap of that is also in that playlist, linked in the upper right. Let's get into it. The fellas meet in the Oak Island War Room, talking about the previous Beyond Oak Island treasure searches. Rick Lagina remarks that he had the highest hopes for the one they did with Gary. The 1715 Treasure Fleet Part 1. It was the Season 2 premiere episode. And again, the no-cap recap of that is also in the playlist in the upper right. Via video conference, they talk with John Brandon, Operations Manager for 1715 Fleet - Queen's Jewels LLC, whom they met in early 2021 in Part 1. John's company owns the salvage rights license for the 1715 fleet and have just renewed it. They have a new, previously unsearched area with a lot of targets pinpointed by magnetometer to go over, and will have 18 different vessels employed in their search. Maddie travels to Florida to go along with John and his team on the search. John explains that the blue dots are silver and the red dots are gold on these magnetometer readings. The Spanish were able to recover about 80% of the treasure within the 3 years right after those 11 ships wrecked, but quite a bit of the remaining 20% has been found. John estimates there is still $750 million to $1 billion worth of treasure still in the ocean from the 1715 fleet wrecks. John explains that the gold coins will look just like that on the ocean floor, but that the silver coins will become encrusted via sulfiding and shells and other material sticking to them. They arrive at the first search target and anchor in place. The next step is to clear the sand and silt, which they do by directing the ship's engine wash downward via these steel tubes called mailbox blowers, a method invented by John's former boss, legendary salvager Mel Fisher. The divers get a metal detector hit, but the ocean floor is too hard to go through by hand, so they chop it up with a knife. The 3 items brought up are parts of a ship made of iron. John says they are from the right period, and these are the types of things he generally finds right before a big discovery. The weather then causes them to stop operations for the day. The weather permits them to continue the next day, and they replete the mailbox blowing, dredging on a new spot. The divers bring up 3 ship spikes immediately, but there are no ballast stones or other metal detector hits, so they move on to the next spot. While the divers get to work, John tells Maddie that for one shipwreck, they followed the debris field for 800 miles, but then it led to $500 million in treasure. The divers get a big metal detector hit on something that requires a rope to bring up. It's a metal ring that John thinks might have been attached to one of the cross beams. Sorry about that. Bad wording. Attached to masts as shown here. Next, they bring up a slightly smaller version of the same thing. John says the only better clues than ship spikes and other ship parts would be the treasure itself. The wind started picking up, so they again end the dive, halt operations, and return to shore in Florida. It turns out to be a really bad storm, and unfortunately that's Maddie's last day there. 1 week later, Maddie and the Oak Island crew talked to John and one of his captains via video conferencing. Of course, they found some treasure right after Maddie left, including this large medallion with threads on the back to allow it to be attached to something. It depicts a person upon a horse. Another piece they found was the silver Madonna that has a gold wash on it. John explains that they didn't have gold plating back then, but they would dip items into molten gold to put a gold sheen on them. He also says there is much more of that new area to search through. Next, they show a gold coin minted in 1714 in Mexico City, of which John said he's found maybe 7 or 8 of that particular die in his 55-year career, and Captain Mike found 7 or 8 in just a few days in the recent search area. Finally, they show this solid silver lion. It is on its haunches and has a shield in front. The detail right there is really amazing. And that's it for this episode. Next time on an all-new episode of Beyond Oak Island, right after an all-new episode of The Curse of Oak Island called Go Big or Go Home. The Beyond episode called The Lost Josephine Mine synopsis reads as follows. The Laginas and Maddie Blake offer their help to a team of treasure hunters in Utah as they search deep underground for billions in gold at a site believed to be the legendary Lost Josephine Mine. I'll be back next week to recap that episode, and a link to it will be in the upper right in this video once I upload it. Thank you so much for watching and all your support. Thank you so much.